Here's what most people don't know. Dolly sketching Jolene started as a 20-minute jot on a tour bus after a startling moment at a show. At its core, Jolene is a masterclass in compression. 3 minutes that teach you how to say everything by saying very little.
20 minutes? That always surprises me. You'd think a song that became this huge had months of polishing. So what exactly stuck from that quick spark into the record?
A single image. A woman at a show who made an offhand comment that lodged in Dolly's head, and a name that had the right sound. Jolene. Dolly turned that moment into a direct address. The narrator speaking to a rival, asking, pleading, confessing. That tight scene is why the song feels like a story and not just a song.
Quick essentials for anyone just tuning in. Released in 1973, it sits on an album that nudged Dolly more toward personal storytelling than novelty numbers. The arrangement is spare, the performance intimate, and the song kept expanding its life every time someone covered it. Simple package, huge reach.
Let's roll this back a touch. Dolly had that mountain storytelling in her bones from her upbringing in Tennessee, and she was already a seasoned writer. So when she grabbed the line and hummed the melody, the result felt both lived in and immediate. The surprising thing is how little ornamentation she kept. No grand metaphors, just a face in the window and a plea.
Most folks don't know this part. Nashville in those years was juggling lush productions and a countercurrent that wanted plain-spoken truth. Dolly landed right between those forces. Her voice could sit on radio, but the writing had Appalachian directness. That tension shaped the record choices they made in the studio.
Listen to this. Please don't take him just because you can. It's not an accusation, it's confession. She makes herself vulnerable so the listener fills in the rest. That kind of line is all craft, the precise verb, the rhythm of the plea, the small domestic detail that opens a world.
Exactly. The second-person address drops you into an awkward space as a listener. You're basically eavesdropping. Musically, the song stays in a narrow vocal range, so each inflection registers as urgency. You hear Appalachian phrasing in the cadence, even when the arrangement is cleanly produced.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. The studio session was intentionally restrained. Think arpeggiated acoustic guitar, a steel guitar that answers like somebody breathing, soft brushes on the snare, and a bass that moves in patient steps. The producer name placeholder, let takes breathe instead of patching every imperfection. That restraint made the plea read as real, not manufactured.
Let me add one thing to that. The harmony parts are used like punctuation, not a chorus lift. The background vocal colors the line, almost a ghost harmony, so phrases hang and echo. It's subtle, and listeners feel the echo more than they can name it. That's compression at work. Small musical moves that open emotion.
Quick interruption. Some stories insist Jolene was about one specific woman who tried to steal her man. That's part true. Dolly heard an incident, but Dolly later said the name came from somewhere she liked the sound of. The song's power comes from turning an event into an image. Once you do that, the song belongs to everyone.
And there was a bit of friction early on. Some label people wanted a stronger narrator, less pleading, more fight. They argued she should sound tougher. I still think that would have flattened the song. Vulnerability is the point. You think a tougher vocal would have worked?
No way. If she turned it into bravado, the intimacy evaporates. The weakness, if you can call it that, is precisely what invites empathy. That decision to keep the voice close to the bone is the craft lesson songwriters should study. Compression plus honesty equals universality.
Here's a tiny concrete studio detail that matters. The guitar plays slightly behind the beat, while Dolly's vocal sits a hair ahead. That push and pull creates urgency without changing the words. Players feel it. Listeners just feel the ache. It's the arrangement doing emotional work without adding lines of text.
that musical push and pull, is exactly compression in action. Say less. Make the music carry what you don't say. And the repetition in the chorus? It's not lazy. It's ritual. Saying the name again and again tightens the scene until it almost becomes a spell.
Let's talk covers for a minute, because they demonstrate elasticity. The White Stripes stripped it into raw garage blues and found the core drama. Reggae and indie versions turned the plea into something else entirely. That tells you the song isn't married to one sound. It's built on a dramatic nucleus anyone can wear.
And that dual reading, plea or bargain, keeps bringing listeners back. Dolly herself sometimes introduced the song on stage with a wink, implying a playful edge, while the recorded vocal leaves you unsure. That ambiguity is a magnet. You can interpret it in different rooms and different decades, and it still scans true.
For players, there's also the tiny rhythmic lift at the end of lines, the little space before she resolves a phrase. It's nearly invisible, but it lets the listener breathe between petitions. Teachers slam that moment into songwriting exercises, how to create tension with silence and timing.
If you've ever been in that situation, you know the exact tilt of the feeling. The small humiliations, the rehearsed calm that crumbles. Jolene keeps that scene tight instead of explaining it. That restraint is why songwriters, new and old, use it as a model. It shows you how to compress without losing the heart.
Most folks don't know this part. Early audiences reacted like they'd been hit with something true. Live, people leaned in. That early confirmation, and Dolly refusing to make the narrator tougher, gave the label the confidence to let the record stand. Proof that sometimes instinct beats focus groups.
Before this was a hit, it was just an idea scrawled between shows. That smallness is the secret. So why does Jolene still matter? Because it teaches compression. Pick one image, stick to one narrator, let performance say the rest. The song's continued covers and classroom life prove the lesson. Less says more, every time.
All right, quick practical note for songwriters listening. Try writing a scene that lasts 3 minutes. Cut everything that isn't the immediate emotion. Use a repeated line sparingly and let the music create the arc. Jolene is a blueprint, not a relic.
If you walked away with one thing today, let it be this. Songwriting is about compression and truth. Next time someone covers Jolene, they find a different corner of that truth, and the song breathes again. Now you'll never hear it the same way again.
Which line from Jolene haunts you? Drop it below. We read every comment. Tell us if you heard a version that flipped your whole take on the song.
And drop your suggestion for the next song you want pulled apart, any country except Thailand, and we'll take it on. This has been the full story behind Jolene by Dolly Parton, the meaning, the music, and the tiny decisions that made it endure. Ranch Beat, where every country song has a story.
We tell it. See you in the next one.